Okay, so this one's for you. I am running a strategic planning meeting next month for our team, and I'm looking for some new, fresh ideas to lead a mission statement. I want to set expectations high and set it the right way with this initial exercise. Any ideas for a fun, productive mission statement creation exercise? You know, I have an idea on this question.
Great.
Let's flip this for a minute, because Elsa just did the coolest thing last week, and she facilitated a really fun exercise related to vision. And I think vision can be a lot more fun and creative than mission, quite honestly. And so let's answer, like, how do we facilitate a fun vision exercise, because we're trying to get the fun factor here. And then, and I'll share some ideas on mission. So Elsa, share with us how you helped the organization last week develop their vision.
Well, we had a great exercise where the organization had an opportunity to think about a publication that was that had been printed on their organization in the year 2022, and what would that publication say about their company in the year 2022? What were the headlines about their company? What was the cover story about their company? What did the images look like? How were they going to look to the public at that time? And so everyone had an opportunity to really brainstorm and come together with some great ideas. It got them thinking about what the company could be in 10 years. And I think that was the exciting part of it, but then narrowing it down and circling it around and kind of synthesizing it to what those common themes were. But ultimately, they had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of great comments about the exercise, and it really did give them an opportunity to envision. And no idea was a bad idea. That's a great place to start.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
No, that's right. So that's exercises borrowed from Grove Consultants. They are a visual facilitation company. They do great work, and they that idea is really that kind of getting at the question of where do we want to be without addressing it head on, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Did you have some wacky, crazy stuff come up?
Oh, of course, and it's really interesting. I told them, you'll always have the most interesting personalities that seem like they're maybe not the ones that are going to draw pictures and everything. You actually have people drawing pictures because they're envisioning and maybe can't put it into words, but they actually get that pen out and start drawing pictures. But yeah, they had some great ideas on the publications because they get to pick their own publication. And so, you had anything from the Wall Street Journal to their local newspapers. So I think the Wall Street Journal was the great one because the Wall Street Journal actually even had a picture on it, which was great.
How fun. So then that exercise goes, you pulled out the main themes from what everybody shared out, right, from their cover story ideas.
Everyone got to share out, and then we listened for those common threads, that common thread that was heard, and we jotted those down, and then we were able to synthesize it, or to break it down, kind of narrow it up, come up with one statement that kind of represented the whole group's perspective as to where they would be in 2022. It was really exciting. I thought it was a really good way to get the creative juices going, but mainly it got everybody's idea out and discussed, and everyone had an opportunity to see what the other table or the other group how they saw the company. And so, yeah, maybe something they might have missed, somebody else didn't. So it got a very, very good sampling of a vision for the company. Yeah, and I bet there's some great fun things that you can do with that mission statement.
I always kind of make trade-offs between funness, between mission and vision, so I tend to err on the fun factor for vision, to be totally honest. And normally our process for developing mission statements is always before we embark on a strategic planning engagement. We do, of course, a participant survey. And the reason for doing that is not to, ask people about their job satisfaction, but rather to get people's feedback on specific parts of the strategic plan, for example, the mission. And so I think people loathe doing mission statements as a group because it turns into a wordsmithing exercise, and it's just really boring in that regard. And so what we've done successfully is to pull in, pull people's feedback in advance, And then when we walk into the session, we've got up on the whiteboard or we've got up on flip charts the main ideas around mission. In addition to that, in advance, we do ask people to kind of go look at other mission statements and see which ones resonate. So we kind of have a model in our brains about where we're trying to head. And then based on that, identify sort of key phrases that we as a group agree need to be in the mission statement, and then stop there as a group, ask somebody in the room who likes to wordsmith to go away and come back in a couple of days with a couple of different examples, and then we kind of go through the vetting process from there. So it's not necessarily super duper fun, but it does get to the end point. And one of the great questions to ask in a mission statement exercise, either in the participant survey or in the moment as you're facilitating and putting your mission statement together, is, how would the world be different if we didn't exist? And going with that absentia question is always a really good one. So that gets your brains thinking on the contrary from, why do we exist as an organization? What's our purpose? And that really, I think that's really useful. I also think, with mission, and then we'll wrap on this, I think with mission, it really does matter that the organization, actually for mission and vision, that you craft statements that are useful. That they actually tell you what your core purpose is and answer the question what's within our scope, so to speak, and what's not within our scope. And the same thing with vision. I think the problem with vision from time to time is we do a little bit too much magical thinking. And so when the work comes back and we look at it a month later, we feel like it's too Pollyanna. And so I think it's important to do the big, pie in the sky, creative work, because that's important for the engagement process and also just for the what-if process. But it's important to kind of bring it a little bit closer to earth, such that when you present it to your board or you present it to your shareholders or the whole organization, that we can actually see the reality in making that vision happen, or with the mission that we can actually use it to help define what we should and shouldn't do.
And it's really interesting because the question is, how do we create a creative, engaging type of exercise for the team? And again, if you're doing that, and if you're at the process where you're developing those ideas on what your purpose is, how you serve your customers, then the critical thing is to let the ideas flow, collect the thoughts, the themes, and so forth. But you don't have to wordsmith right on the spot. And I think that's what people get caught up in, is actually trying to write that sentence that sounds perfect. So, very good question.
Cool, great question. And we were a little long on that, but it's a big one.
We have somebody that contributed on here with the chat. I'll go ahead and read that. It says, it sounds like more of an icebreaker to get you in the mood to work through this process. A fun opening exercise to help people begin to think outside the box is to have people try to answer riddles. Googling something like creative thinking exercises produces a lot of options. Do that, then move into the focus on vision or mission. So in my mind, I'm reading that as get people to think a little bit outside of their normal way of thinking in the day-to-day.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for contributing that. I think one thing that we forget about from time to time is that preparedness, like the preparedness to have the conversation, whether it's the thinking mode or the pre-prep work around what is mission and vision, just kind of the readiness to be there. So that's a great point.
Very good input.
Thank you.